Hey everybody, welcome back to the LWN Network. I'm Tammy Nation, your host for this evening. I also have the one, the only John E. backstage waiting to come on and help us out this evening as a co-host. There is a lot of things for us to cover tonight, so I'm going to cover them real quick here, but I also want to say welcome to all the new people, all the new subscribers, all the people that maybe haven't joined us before. And once again, thank you to everybody who's been here all along for our support, supporting us, giving us information and helping us out. It's great to see everyone. It is Thursday, March 5th, 2026. And boy, what a day it was today. So we are going to cover quite a few things and on top of whatever John E. wants to cover as well. But the basis of this whole show is truth and lies in the government, along with what's going on in Iran, of course. And there's a lot of things that come out that the government's been lying to us about, and we know that, but we're going to cover some of the things that happened recently about lies. It's like you have to really pay attention where you look and where you go to find out the correct information, because Kristi Noem was a big one today, that it was flying all around out there that she was fired. She wasn't fired. She was moved into a different position. So you got to stay true to that, keeping your nose to the ground and keep figuring out what is really going on. It's really hard to find out nowadays, but we do our best to keep you guys updated and keep you with the best information possible. Also, LW is out of town, but he may be in chat saying hello when he gets off of work and he's able to do that. Also, we have that scroll at the bottom of the screen to remind you guys the prize drawing for the pellet grill and some of the silver coins is at the end of this month. We've got a couple weeks left. So every $5 donation that you make is one entry. So if you donate $20, that is 4 entries. And we got to get going on that because, like I said, we only have a couple weeks left. And that pellet grill just looks amazing. I know the LW is really excited about giving that away. Also, we had a Pentagon presser today while everybody's worried about Iran and everything going on with that. He is reassuring everybody at this Pentagon presser that everything is A-OK and we have the munitions to last. He's saying that Iran is hoping we don't have the munitions to last. They're going for the long game, but he's reassuring everybody that we're A-OK. We're going to cover some of that as well. So with all that being said, I'm going to play the intro and then I'm going to bring John E. aboard and we're going to get this party started. Hang on, everybody. We'll be right back after this. Hey, Johnny, how's it going? Welcome to another show. Here we go.
I'll tell you, I'm glad to be here. It's a great day.
Yeah, it really is. I think there was a mess up in StreamYard when I set this up. I think I forgot to say 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think it just put on there like 4 o'clock when I was in there setting the show up. So I apologize to everybody if you were waiting. We usually do go on at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time when we do shows. So just keep that in mind. But with all the chaos of everything that was going on today, I probably just forgot to do that, put the time in there. But anyhow, thanks for joining us tonight, John. Like I said, there's a lot going on. There always is, but today I couldn't believe it. I've been behind this computer all day just trying to make sense out of the nonsense that is going on out there. So another thing I wanted to cover too, coming up is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She put something out there today about Trump. I don't know if you saw it or not, regarding something with the SAVE Act, and then Trump did change it on his Truth Social. So we're going to cover that. That's part of the truth and lies that John E., you do a lot of research. You're very smart when it comes to all this information and you know how to pick through it. But for the people that don't, I think that it's an honor and a privilege to have you here to be able to help them figure through the muck. Because if you just go to one story and you look at it, let's say at noon, and you don't go anywhere else, by 3 o'clock, that story's completely changed. So I appreciate your research and your diligence on it as well. And so I guess we can get started. And I don't even know where to start, to tell you the truth. I guess we can start with the Kristi Noem deal. It was put out there all over social media that she was fired. The media ran with it like wildfire, saying that she was fired, right? It's like they can't wait to get their teeth in to everybody, and it caused a lot of chaos and stuff. But Kristi Noem did put it out there. She put on her X account that she was appointed, and she was thanking Trump for this, as a special envoy for the Shields of Americas. And so she's basically just been replaced in a new position. And what is being said about this is, Pete Hegseth talked on this as well during his presser, and he said, we serve at the president's leisure. Whatever he wants us to do, we do. So with all that being said, people have to pull back, the fangs a little bit and realize there's going to be upsets and there's going to be turmoils and things going on. It does make us feel kind of uneasy, of course, because we want all the people that we like and that they put our place to stay there, so we feel good and we know that the job's getting done. So when there's all this turbulence going on of upsets and relocation, replacing, or being let go, people get upset about it. So I want to know what you think about the Kristi Noem thing. John, do you think it was because of the comments that she was making regarding the $220 million in the ad campaign that she had that mostly promoted her? She said Trump knew about it and approved it. I heard he was upset about it. Do you think that was the final straw on the camel's back that is why he moved her to something else?
Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you, I watched her hearing yesterday, and Senator Kennedy is the guy that nailed her, because he was like a dog with a bone well, I mean, if you call yourself America First and conservative, and you're wanting to, spend money wisely, the $220 million that she spent on an ad campaign, that mostly, if you just look at the ads, it looks like a political ad for Kristi Noem. And that's obvious. And here's the deal: very professionally done. But the bottom line is could it have been done cheaper? And sure, anybody nowadays can whip out a cell phone and make a TV ad if you want to. But the bottom line is he trapped her, and she did lie, because she said that President Trump had full knowledge of it and supported it, and that was not the case. And then Kennedy he's like a dog with a bone. He didn't waste a minute of getting a hold of Mr. Trump, President Trump, and saying, okay, Pop, did you approve this? I was under the impression you hadn't approved it. And sure enough, that's when Trump, he said, no, I sure didn't approve it. And then that led to a shift in her positioning in the regime. I'm happy that they selected Mark Wayne Mullins. I think he's an upstanding up-and-comer, smart guy, military service background. So I think that he may do a better job than Kristi. He actually, been boots on the ground. He understands things, and I think he's highly intelligent. He's another guy, and I think so. That's a good choice for us because DHS is important.
It's very important. It's very important. And, they defunded them, so to speak. But this guy, Mark Wayne Mullen, he is from Oklahoma as a state senator. And yes, they're saying that this man is amazing, and all his background and everything, he's really good. So that's good to know. And, I'm surprised that, if she did indeed lie, was that a big enough lie to just fire her? Or do you think he did not want to upheaval like that? He just wanted a transfer of positions to calm the waters, because we know that everybody's been upset with everything going with Iran, Congress, and all the decisions that are being made that really aren't relaxing and calming. People are feeling a bit upset about the decisions that are being made out there.
Well, and look, in the corporate world, and that's what Washington, D.C. is, and nothing but a large corporation. In the corporate world, when you have something like that embarrasses the CEO, you're going to get, I don't think it was egregious enough to fire her. but it definitely merited a little step down and a sideways move, and that's what they'll refer to it as, because she's done good things for the America First agenda.
Sure.
There's no denying that. She's been up front, been on boots on the ground with ICE. I think that there's a lot she can serve and she can do. And this lateral move and side move to where she'll be looking at the cartels down in Mexico and South America, I think we'll hear more about that tomorrow. And so, but it's just like in a corporation. You can be the manager one day and then the next day you're the assistant manager.
Yeah, there's not much room for mess ups for.
Well, not like that, especially when you embarrass the president.
Yes, sir.
Not a good thing. Because obviously, that's what was clear to me. Because I'm going to tell you something about my Senator Kennedy. If he asks you a question, you better write it down and understand he already knows the answer. He's got the answer before he ever runs across them lips.
I love him. I love how he works that way. That's true. And speaking of lies and deception and truth and lies, like part of the show, the next thing up is Attorney General Pam Bondi. Apparently, they gave her a subpoena to testify behind a closed door deposition for her probe and handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case.
Well, when you go back and you look, and I went back again and pulled it up yesterday, the entire legislative process and everything that everybody fought to get done and to have the Epstein Act passed, and it passed and was legislated. And what she's doing is actually breach of that legislation. She is supposed to release and make fully transparent the Epstein files. And for her to say, well, okay, we released this much, and then now they're guilty of going and pulling down a lot of files that were there a week ago, 2 days ago. So they're weeding them out and pulling them down. And then the sad part of it is the people that are really doing the diligent work to chronicle can see that, okay, there was 1,500 mentions of Trump, and now there's only 1,100 mentions of Trump. What happened to the 400 documents? What happened to the file? Why would the DOJ do that? Are they protecting Trump? And I'm going to tell everybody, before I came on, and I was watching, I don't know anybody that knows Senator Sheldon Whitehead. Do you know him?
I've heard of him now. Go ahead.
He sits on the Judiciary Committee, and he's pretty much an ass. But man, he was reading direct references, and that's in everybody inside the White House and administration had to know that the Democrats, when you dump these files, they were going to do their absolute due diligence to handpick and cherry pick any Trump emails and references to Trump. Well, you need to listen to Sheldon Whitehouse. Go to YouTube, and I want to say it was on, God no, I can't think of the channel. You'll find it. Just type it in, because here's the deal about it. He waited and did it late in the afternoon because he knows it can hit prime time. It was pretty disgusting to hear, and he hammered our president with files and emails that I have seen and I know that are there, but there's never any clear evidence of any abuse of a minor. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Did Trump in the 90s like young girls? Not girls, 20-year-old, 19-year-old? Yes, he did. And that's, I think everybody's known that about Trump. He was the New York playboy. And he ran with Epstein, who was a New York playboy. But Trump himself said that Jeffrey liked him a little younger. Well, okay, so that's, but there's no, Trump got upset with him when he hired, is it Virginia Dufresne or whatever, one of his people that was working at his spa, and they had a little open conversation about that. He wasn't happy about that. But to break up between Trump and Epstein was about a real estate deal down there. Epstein and Trump were bidding against each other. Trump ends up getting this mansion and refurbishes it. I think it was $45 million. He spent 40, maybe 49 million, refurbishes it, and 2 years later he sells it to a Russian oligarch. So now Sheldon Whitehouse is all about linking Trump to Russia. He is a Russia dog. So,
well, the thing is, that's why I talk about that people really need to not just pay attention to headlines, but go a little deeper and go into history and go into behaviors and not just what things are said. On the surface, people like cute little talking points or keywords, and that's not the way it is anymore. With everything that's going on, you have to really do due diligence.
You better.
To be able...
I guess we have all probably been trapped at times with something that came up and we either caught it on YouTube or we saw it on Facebook, and you click on it, go to TikTok, go to X, and you get something. And then if you spew it out without doing homework, well, then you're going to be dead wrong. And then people look at you and say, well, man, you're not doing any research whatsoever. And it happens, Tammy, I think right now, YouTube, I would guess probably 50% of what is on there is AI influenced, AI created. And you've got to be really guarded and look for that to see if the content is AI created. But then also, there's an Asian guy that does great understanding of the silver markets and the metal markets, John A.G. And if you follow John A.G., I go and check him out every single day. But there are 20 other channels that are using his image. One of them calls himself the Asian guy. They got just endless amount of them, and they're actually just spewing propaganda. The war propaganda on YouTube right now. You got to be very guarded. There's great intelligence on there, but you have to be specific about. And then when you see somebody that's a content creator and they got their YouTube channel, just do a Google search of the name and see who that person is. Who do they represent?
Yes. That's good information. Yes.
Yeah.
But this is the other thing, John, not only is this weird timing with AI and everything, people doubt it. And, is so good. It advanced and got so good. But people are actually using AI to cross-reference information, which you can't even trust that because it's not perfect. So every time I'm on a post on X or something, somebody, if they don't believe it, will say, hey, Grok, is this true? And they listen to what Grok says. And you shouldn't be doing that. You have to use your brain. You have to do the finger work and the hard work of figuring it out. You can't, you're trusting the very thing that is flawed and that people really aren't thrilled with having, so that you're just doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, Stephen H. and he uses advanced AI. He's using it. He likes, but here's the thing he'll tell you. Every single one of them, Grok has lied to him. And here's the thing. He's smart enough to know, okay, what question do I ask it? And then all right, it gives me this answer. What question do I get? So he labels it out and he finds out. And then he finally gets to the point where he says, you're lying to me. And they'll change the subject or they'll dismantle the conversation altogether. So, yeah, you have to be very cautious. I trust John. I trust Tammy. There's people in my life that I trust. I trust old Stephen H., Jeff B. And here's the thing. There are content creators on YouTube that I absolutely rely on for certain information, especially when it comes to economics. I like the silver content. I want to know what's happening with gold and silver. I want to know what's happening on the geopolitical economy. So then this Asian guy breaks that down. John A.G. he's just a great resource, and he's a professional. He's just not some clown reposting his image and then putting out, spewing some garbage, because that's what you're getting. You're getting garbage in. Then if you go and you repeat that same garbage and say, man, I got it off of YouTube, well, then people are going to think you're a fool.
Yeah.
And we can't be seen as that. If you want to have value in this space, truth is the most important thing we can share. Now, do we always, there's disagreement on what you might see as a fact, what I might see as a fact, because facts can be twisted and they can be turned, by context, how you said it, how did you read it, what's your interpretation, and what about your history allowed you to interpret the same piece of information one way than versus a Democrat. And it's, mine is based in the Constitution. And I run into those, like right now, and I was really hoping Jeff B was going to be here, because I got a huge question for him about how many American soldiers are right now carrying dual citizenship and serving in the IDF.
Wow.
Boots on the ground inside of Iran. And we don't hear that from Pete Hegseth. But now I'll tell you where it first came to light. There was a piece of legislation that came up, and they were wanting to get benefits out of a $3.8 billion dump of money to Israel, set aside for benefits for dual citizen service members serving in the IDF, so that it would raise their level of pay. Well, okay, I don't know how I feel about that, because, do you serve Israel or do you serve the United States of America?
Well, we said that before, even about our representatives that have the dual citizenship. We don't need that. No. We don't need that. You serve here, you get elected here, you serve here. You want to serve there, you go get elected there. That's how I just feel like there's been so many lines that have been crossed across so many ways in through government, and just even with the Constitution and laws, and talking about sticking up for one another. There are some things that I think people, because they've been paying attention to the Iranian war, that have gone on the wayside that people maybe aren't paying attention to. And one of them is on Wednesday, which was yesterday. Wait, what's today? Thursday? Yeah, yesterday, the U.S. House of Representatives voted 357 to 65 to effectively block a resolution that would have forced the public release of all congressional sexual misconduct and harassment reports. The House voted to refer the resolution to the House Ethics Committee. While this sounds procedural, it is considered a move to kill the effort, because the Ethics Committee leadership had already publicly opposed it. And it was a bipartisan vote, John, 182 Dems, 175 Republicans, to refer the measure to the committee. So that is them actually saying, nope, we don't want to expose if there's any misconduct going on or harassment here. We don't want our dirty laundry aired. And it's both sides. And that's not right. That is ridiculous. I could not believe it. So that's just something that happened yesterday that I don't even know if anybody knows about.
Well, and Tammy, that's not the first time that type of legislation has been advanced. I think there's three times in recent history to where Republicans, and I wish I'd have to go back, but I know that has been because, as a member of the Republican Party, really hardcore at one time, I felt that was something that, if you want to talk transparency, then be transparent with that, because we actually had a congressional member in Louisiana that we knew got hung up in a pay-to-play deal. And it actually involved him having an outside of his marriage affair on multiple occasions. And he ended up buying and paying his way out of it. And our question was, where did the money come from? Did he use campaign dollars to buy these two women off? What happened, So, and I think that's a common practice up there. And so how much of it is taking place? Who are the culprits? Because if we want to have transparency about Epstein, then we need to have transparency about Liez. And we need to have transparency about Noem. And we need to have transparency about Liez. 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 And we need to have How about some transparency about our senators, our congressmen, members of their staff? That's some of the stuff too, because this guy down here, I mean, part of that was his staff covering up. And that's why not, we're adult enough to where it's something that if a wife forgives it or something simple like that, okay. But what about the molestation of a child? What about underage girls? And have that, how much of that? And if we don't know and they won't share that, we're paying for it. We bought somebody off. You and I, the taxpayers, paid to have these guys or people hushed up,
Yeah.
and bury it, put it, but they can't get it. Got an NDA. Well, no, BS. It's time to answer for your sins.
Well, the thing is, it seems like our money is being used for all bad things and not good things, you think? So, I mean, it's insanity at the least. So this is the thing that also I want to talk about, transparency, and Trump actually got some feedback not good on this today. So what happened was, I'm just going to actually share the screen with this one and see, because I'm going to share it so people can read it. Let me see, share screen right here. Okay, so can you see that?
I barely can. I'm on my phone.
What if I make it? Let me see if I can make it bigger. So, and I'll read it too. So
yeah,
people
just read it.
Okay, so Marjorie Taylor Greene posted Donald Trump's post from his Truth Social, and it says the Save America Act. Number 1, all voters must show voter ID identification. 2, all voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. 3, no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. 4, no women in sports. 5, this is what he's throwing in there, no transgender mutilation surgery for children without the express written approval of the parents. So he actually says that when you're 18, or if you get the parents' approval, you can have this transgender surgery. So Marjorie Taylor Greene said that Trump now supports transgender mutilation surgeries of children if their parents want it. She said the House passed my bill, Protect Children's Innocence Act, that makes it a felony to trans any child under 18, even if their parents are supporting or pushing it on their own children. She said my bill was a reflection of Trump's own executive order banning child trans surgeries and so-called gender-affirming care. Now, Trump is reversing his stance. What is wrong with him? She said, now the president says it's okay as long as the parents agree. She said sick parents, but that's the number 5. So it says no transgender mutilation surgery for children without the express written approval of the parents. So she called him out on that. This was at 10:39 this morning. But what happened was at 4:12 p.m., Trump's post on this changed, and the number 5 read, no transgender mutilation surgery for children. It left out that whole bottom part. So my question is, what is going on with that? Did somebody overstep what he meant, or they pulled back on it? I mean, the press got it and ran with it. People were upset. And some are saying he's throwing that in there to get the SAVE Act passed. But how does that have anything to do with it? So this is a mess. It doesn't look good for him, knowing that he reposted it at 4 o'clock today, or his people, leaving the lines out that Marjorie Taylor Greene were in there.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Tammy, that is probably a negotiation chip, hoping to get 1 or 2 Democrats on board for the SAVE Act that he might have been willing to do, but then when he got called out on it, and do you see how important it is to read the words and understand what is being said? Because once you go back to granting parents permission to mutilate a child, an underage child, well, then you just voided everything that Marjorie Taylor Greene worked her ass off to get done for this country, and she's rightfully so. Words mean everything. Context, if that was a bargaining chip that he put out, and Speaker Johnson or somebody said, well, if we soften this Marjorie Taylor Greene legislation, who knows how it came to be. But the fact that he went back and changed it now, it would be my action tomorrow will be to contact Clay Higgins and say, I want to know the exact wording of the legislation, please, sir.
Yes.
And to get his staff to respond so that at least I'll know, no, he just posted that on X to shut Marjorie Taylor Greene up when actually it is going to be allow parents to do it. I want to know now because the question's a valid question. We got a ping pong on words. Who's telling the truth? Which is it?
Yep. Now, Outlandish is saying that was fake, but how do we know it's fake? Because I looked at, that's what I mean. And this is the truth and lies part we're talking about. Would Marjorie Taylor Greene really put all that out there if that were fake? And then why was the post? See, this is the thing. No matter what you think of Marjorie Taylor Greene, that was at 10, marked at 10:30 something this morning off his Truth Social, and his post came out at 4 something. So she actually had the exact post, and you're telling me she added that to it. So I don't know why she would do that. That makes no sense to me. So I agree with you. Go the step further, find out the truth, talk to the people you said to talk to, or find out what is exactly in that legislation. We need to know what's in there, because whether it's a bargaining chip or not, I mean, I see that it's if parents consent, but we know that is a problem because some of these parents out there, come on, John, are they good parents? I mean, what the things that are going on that they do, that they expose these children to. We talked all summer long about how they were taking them to these bars all across the country that had transgenders and all these people stripping, and the kids were giving them money and all this stuff, and the parades of the nakedness for these LGBTQ and all these letters that were naked and had all this ridiculous, some just feathers coming out. It was just leather and feathers and barely covering anything. They take their kids to this. Why would you expose your children to this kind of stuff? To me, it's pure evil. So this is a serious issue that I think we need to get to the bottom of. Definitely, it's something to keep our eye on.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I would hope our listeners, I pray that everyone has your congressmen and your senators in your email folder to where you can drop them emails and question them with stuff that, if we present something, check us out, but then also verify for yourself, because then you can go to your neighbors, people that would be against this, letting parents mutilate their children. Well, I'd want to know if that's going to be a shift. Then let's scrap the whole SAVE Act, because I'm not willing to allow that to take place, because we've seen what that brutality does to young underage children who go through these surgeries, and then as their minds develop and they have a change of heart and they've been mutilated. You can't go back and replace a breast, You certainly can't. So it's important though for us, when something pops, somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you got to understand, she don't have a dog in the fight no more. She's not running for any office.
Yeah.
She's just a concerned citizen like she always was. And she fought hard to get that legislation passed. It wasn't an easy deal. And she had to manipulate, she had to give in on concessions to get that done, but she was willing to do it. Just like she was willing to stand with Massey on getting these Epstein files released. She was a warrior. And Trump, now, when I look and you listen to White House, but then when you look for yourself and you see Trump's involvement with Epstein as a young billionaire was frequent, could have been considered best friends. That raises an issue. So I could see his anger at her because he didn't want anyone to ever be able to see any of those emails. Here's the reality. And I would ask the listeners, do you believe that Donald Trump has a massive ego?
Yes or no in the chat. I think I'm going to say on that, comment on that and say, yes, I think that you almost have to be, because then, he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to have his reputation ruined. That is why I think he's trying to do the best that he can do. But man, I've never seen so many backstabbers in our government and our lives. I guess, they were all getting along because they all were doing the same dirty stuff and they weren't putting America first. And, we expect that with Trump, and we aren't feeling that too much right now. And then there's all this division with MAGA's dead and I'm not MAGA anymore, and all this stuff. You've got the truth and lies part of this as well. You've got a lot of podcasters like Sean Ryan. You've got Tucker, you've got Megyn Kelly, and they're all against Trump now. They're all basically really fueling the fire of separation. And, they were on the other side for a long time, and something switched up when it came to Israel and stuff. You know what I mean? So you have to be careful. Dan Bongino's angry all the time. All he does is get his face this close to the camera, and he's always got these big eyes and he's screaming at everybody. It's just hard to stay calm and settle down and think clearly of who's telling the truth. It is anybody, because there's so many people that are being paid, bought, and sold out now. It's incredible. And that's terrifying to me, because so many people will keep watching the same people and just go with the flow of whatever they're saying without even realizing they're being led down the road that these people want them to be led down. And I agree, Catherine, Dan is weird now. He is not the same. Whether he's acting or not, he is not the same. That's not what matters. What matters is people trying to find good information from people that they've trusted. And even Sean Hannity, who I'm not a big fan of, came out and said, Tucker Carlson is not the man he was when I knew him here at Fox. So they're all inner fighting, leaving all of us in a scramble. What are we supposed to do?
I'm going to tell you what I know about Tucker Carlson.
Okay.
He is the best journalist of our time. Journalist, okay? He is pursuant of the facts and the truth. Tell me when you've caught Tucker in a lie. Anybody. Tell me when did Tucker lie to his audience? He has confronted his own guest on air. He took down and annihilated Ted Cruz. And I'm going to tell you, what they're attempting to tell you is the same thing that I have said, and I believe in my very core. AIPAC, the lobbyist, 6 for every member of Congress, 6 for every senator. And what is AIPAC? Well, that's the American Israeli, that's their people to push the Israeli agenda. Now, Israeli, the minute you say Israeli, people then want to twist the word and refer to every Jew as, the Orthodox Jews versus Zionists. The one thing they don't want Americans to understand, and Americans lack the education of understanding, there's an extreme difference between a Zionist and an Orthodox Jew. And if we don't learn that, because we were led into this war by Benjamin Netanyahu. So in my conversation with a family member today, I brought that question to him, because this is a guy that served in the military, served his nation with distinction and honor, and has a lot of knowledge. And so I consult with him, and I laid that on the table, and all he said is, Johnny, yes, Netanyahu, but you got to go to the one step further that all of us that serve know. Benjamin Netanyahu has a master. And then he said, "Do you know the master?" And I said, "Yes, sir, the central bankers." He goes, "Bingo. This is a war created," and I said this maybe the last show or the show before. This is a war generated and created by the central bankers whose paper currency is failing. We are in a debt crisis, $38 trillion with no hope. And even, if you drop the interest rate to zero, okay, that they let you keep drawing it out, but when do you ever pay it back? You don't. Your great grandchildren will, but you don't. So you might have it really good on, and if you're living on Social Security, there ain't nothing good about it, but you can scrape by and you can get by. But just think in another 10 years, you're not going to. And it's the bankers and the fiat currency that created all the mechanism for when you look at pictures and pull up you can do it on Google. Go in and ask to see a comparison of a stack of $100 bills and what does that look like when you rack up $1 trillion. And then you see the massive amounts of money that are bought, paid for, and controlled Congress and Senate, both parties. The uniparty has saddled your babies and their babies with this debt. And the ability to do that is the Federal Reserve Central Bankers of London. So who pulled the war? Who pulled the trigger and pulled Benjamin Netanyahu? The bankers in London. Why? What pressure are they under over there? Okay, the economic collapse of fiat currency. So their euro is in decline. And the only thing that's holding value is the pound, the British pound sterling. Well, why would the Bank of London not want to be part of the euro and be able to hold on and maintain their British pound sterling when they let every surrounding European nation have to deal in euros that are worthless? And this is the banks are failing in Europe. The banks are failing in the United States of America. Now, this wise man that I was on my phone with told me, he goes, "You go back and you look at the history of every war that we fought in, my brother, and you're going to see that it was always an economic reset that forced the issue. Every single one." He said, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, United States is going into an inflationary period. Whoa. Let's start Vietnam." So you go back into World War I, World War II, Korea, everything is about their ability to put paper money into circulation and own and possess the government systems that give them the taxes. You're paying taxes on debt. That's terrible. I almost went to jail behind that because I wasn't willing. I worked for a debt note, a piece of paper. And then I can spend it and I can circulate it inside the system. But how can you accumulate wealth if all you ever possess is debt?
You can't. You never can.
No,
there's very few. No.
The big top secret is they freaking know it. So now they'll pull this reset. What's that look like? That's the question every American better get their head wrapped around. If this war doesn't go precisely as Mr. Hickfist is spilling out on the airways, because I think he's full of shit.
Oh, it seems like it. I know. I want to
know he is.
I want to believe it, and America wants to believe it, and that's what they want to hear. But I said on a few shows back with you, do we have the munitions to last? Are we low? Are we going to be okay? And I think that's ironic that that's the main point today he had at that Pentagon presser is talking about we have plenty of munitions, and Iran's hoping we don't. And when we start talking about that kind of stuff and the money, and people want to keep money, this happened as well this was like an hour before we went on, this came out that 53 Democrats just voted against reaffirming that the Islamic Republic of Iran remains the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, something state departments of both parties have declared since 1984, which is disgusting because they don't want to hold anything against them because the wheels and the deals and what you keep talking about. And that's what people need to understand. Everything is tied in together. These people that are in power and that do the wheeling and dealing don't want to let go of the wheeling and dealing. They don't care how many people are killed or hurt. They don't care because it's not them. We are just basically numbers to a lot of these people, unfortunately. We don't have any value to them other than paying them, like you said, through taxes and our money or our labor. That's it. We're like cattle.
When you say holy cow, that's the way they refer to us, just like cattle. And that's the way they view us, Tammy. And you know, years ago, back when we were doing the podcast on Podbean, and I know that I said multiple times that I have a file of 13 global leaders. Right now, the king, at that time, he was Prince Charles. 3 different family members of the Rothschilds, Billy Boy Gates, Al Gore.
Oh, I remember him.
And Mr. Soros, Klaus Schwab, Yuri Harari. These guys have all advocated for depopulation of the planet. And here's where they differ. Some of them say the number at 90% would be good. And some of them say, no, we've got to go to 95% of the population plan. Now, did you hear the word I said? Because words are important. Depopulation plan.
There's books on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and people think that it's just fiction and don't realize, like, sometimes, you know, you hear something, you think that is so ridiculous, or that is so detrimental to my psyche. I'm not going to pay attention to it. And look where we're at now. So much of it, you know, it's insanity. And here we are in a war we didn't think we were going to be in at all. But, you know, every day it brings something different. And the other thing is, back and forth in talking about reliability, even Press Secretary Karen Leavitt, remember Donald Trump threatened to cut the trade with Spain over its refusal to let the U.S. Use Spanish bases against Iran? Well, guess what? Karen Leavitt claimed that Madrid had agreed to cooperate, right? Well, come to find out, the Spanish foreign minister came out and denied it and said Spain's position hasn't changed. She may be the White House spokesperson, but I'm a foreign minister of Spain. And basically, that's not true. And Karen Leavitt comes out and says, oh, well, that's what I heard. I was told that they did. How can you make such a massive mistake at a time like this with another country?
And listen, it's not a mistake. It's propaganda. And right now, Miss Caroline is being used, and she's being told, okay, here's what we want. Here's the message we want to deliver today. So she goes out and delivers that message. And then guess what? Somebody in Spain is actually monitoring White House press conferences and says, bullshit. You know?
Well, who's telling her to say that? Why?
We're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We're supposed to say, hey, Caroline, don't come lie to us. Don't take the stage if you're going to lie to us or misspeak. Or that's what I was told. Well, who then told you? Bring that son bitch up to the mic and let him explain it to us. Why did he make that statement about one of NATO alliances in Spain? You know, it's not a good thing, but why is Spain taking that stance?
Yes.
Spain is in reach of Iraqi missiles.
Yes.
You know, I mean, for God's sake, be realistic. And listen, when this munitions deal, Benjamin Netanyahu today openly spoke, and this is Benjamin Netanyahu speaking. He gives him a little pressure, just like Hegseth and Trump, and he says that Israel has got enough munitions to carry on their forward move in Iran for the next 2 weeks. Well, what happens in week 3?
Hello.
So you
Yes.
gone? We hung up on our own?
Yeah, well, and Hedgeseth was coming out today saying, you know what, 90% of the attacks have, or 90% of them have gone down from the first days because they took out whatever that is called, that they can read the satellite thing that they can read incoming. So they took that out. They said they're wounded, they're bad, but I don't buy that. Iran has been planning for this for 40 some years. They know how to dig in the dirt and they go in the mountains. They've been waiting for a time such as this, I believe. And I think they have a hell of a lot more stuff than we're giving them credit for. And I think they're doing it to try to keep us calm.
Yeah. And when my logical brain, when they first come out and the Department of War says that, that they had enough enriched yellow cake to create 10 to 11 nuclear missile warheads for missiles. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, how in the hell do you know that? Because here's what I know. If I'm holding yellow cake and I have enriched it to that point, you think I'm going to have it up on the surface where you can fly over with any kind of satellite and detect the footprint? You're not. So it's underground. How do you know you're taking out surface missile launchers? How much are you doing for what's underneath that? Because they've had 20 years to build tunnel after tunnel under the earth to stack up thousands of missiles. And how many drones, because they're cranking out drones like every couple of days.
Yeah, yeah.
So, did you see yesterday so we had 3 days of listening. On day 3, we heard, their attacks their launches have declined. Their launches have declined on the 4th day. And then last night, Tel Aviv gets lit up by them and the Houthis from 2 sides and well over 100 missiles. So guess what? Some of them get through. But they still have their Iron Dome that, we finance, we, give Israel. They still got Patriot, protection. So they're able to launch and take out and get rid of some of them. But at the rate, and I think that was the whole 24-hour cycle, and what happened last night was about forcing Israel to use those anti-missile batteries to deplete their reserves of munition. So how long and what happens when they don't have the munitions to operate the Patriots in the Iron Dome? What happens to the state of Israel? The person I was talking to on the phone said that most likely Israel will be destroyed. Now, wait a while. Nobody's telling us that in America.
No, not at all.
Save Israel for last. I've heard that.
Yep.
But I mean, will that truly be the last, or have we now made, ourselves the target? And here's what I don't believe. I don't believe Iran has the missile technology to hit the United States, the continental United States of America. Don't believe that at all. But they do have the length. They do have the ability to attack many of our allies in our own region. And this same fella was telling me that the overall winner of the game, when this is finished and complete, will be the Arabs in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Yeah, because they don't buy junk.
Right.
Anything they've received from us, they got our best. And then listen, they don't mind buying from China.
Well, yep. And, China did come out and say also, if any of their people are harmed, that they're going to join in. So isn't that going to be a fun time? Unbelievable. So then also this happened in California. they tested a doomsday missile the other day. They conducted a test launch of a nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missile Tuesday night from California's Central Coast. A reminder of how dangerous the global situation has become. It says, as the world watches rage in Ukraine and expanding conflicts erupt across the Middle East, the launch boldly underscored the grim reality that nuclear deterrence is once again at the center of international security. So I didn't even know we had a doomsday missile, but it says it can carry nuclear warheads 20 times more powerful than Hiroshima and travel 6,000 miles at 15,000 miles per hour. It hit its target near the Marshall Islands. So that just happened on Tuesday.
Well, and that's the entire, that if there's one thing that I fear, you know, they would like us to believe that it's Iran's going to nuke somebody. But let's see, we got Pakistan. They've got nukes. India. There's a lot of nuclear armed people. So if our effort in Iran goes awry and Iran gets through dealing with Israel, and then they decide to start targeting their Arab neighbors, and look, you're talking Shiite Sunni now. So I've always believed that the Sunnis have created more active terror than Iran ever did. Iran just scared. Now, and this guy I was talking to actually was in Iraq and lost men that he had to go and return with their bodies to their parents, you know, and
Wow.
it was difficult. And he says, you know, I have the full knowledge that the IUDs that took out my guys was from Iran. So Iran, yeah, they're evil son of guns. Their ideology is terrorist. They want to see the infidels taken out, you know, and they can't run from that. It's in their Quran.
Yeah.
They hate us.
They've always hated us, and they want us eliminated to take over everything. And that's the thing. How do you negotiate with those kind of people? You cannot. That's why I don't understand. Well, it's obviously money and everything else that we just didn't mind our own business, stay away from them, let them be, and only retaliate if they did something, not, you know, unfortunately, too many presidents and administration and government officials wheeled and deal with them. Obama was a big one. So that's where we got screwed and tattooed. You know what I mean? So that's how we got in trouble. And I understand taking it out and taking them down once and for all. I get that. I mean, if not for Trump doing it, who would do it? It doesn't seem ideal because, you know, America's in the state that it's in, and it did seem to come out of nowhere. But he did say, "Hey, you know, you need to stop this with the nuclear stuff," and they didn't listen. I don't know, John. It just gets very confusing and very stressful because I know they need to stop, but I mean, where is the end game with this? That is my big concern. How does this end? When does it end? I don't know.
What's the marker?
Yes.
That says, okay, we accomplished the mission. Because if it's Trump's ego, what does that look like? and if it's just that, okay, we're not ever going to commit boots on the ground, which is what I want.
Yep.
Because the minute it goes boots on the ground, number one, I want all the listeners, and I don't want to break this to anybody and hurt their feelings, but I don't think Donald Trump's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize.
There you go.
I think he shit the bed.
Yeah.
Happening.
I don't want that either. I don't think anybody wants that. I mean, that's the big thing. And then he does that, and, you know, he does that. Americans don't want that. So what's it going to affect the midterms or him in the future? What are people going to do? They're going to do the complete opposite of what they're doing now. They're not going to want to keep him around. They're not going to vote in the conservative way. I mean, it's like, what's going to happen? So it is just kind of troubling times and stuff. But, you know, this is another thing that's coming up is, you know, we hear Jeff talk about the Monroe Doctrine, which they talk and now call it the Monroe Doctrine, but there's going to be a Shields of America summit. They call it a historic meeting reinforcing the Monroe Doctrine, that Trump's going to meet with regional leaders in Miami to launch a broad coalition of U.S. allies aimed at enhancing security and fostering prosperity throughout the hemisphere. This is coming up as well. So I don't even know what that's going to mean at this point.
Well, let me ask, and because I'm going to have to do some reading too. Number one, it's kind of ironic that Jeff said that. And then in my conversation today, that was the very words that this young man said to me too, that this is America going back to the Monroe Doctrine and the world going to be forced back to the same. So sovereignty, maintaining your defense for your defense when attacked. There's a lot to that. And I think that all of us can support that. But then how do we get from where we're at now to where, Russia was able to invade, and they've got their reasons, and that Putin well speaks it why he did it, because NATO was infringing across on his border in Ukraine. Okay, so what do we do to stop the infringements of sovereign borders? So the United States, are we going to take in, and is Canada going to become part? South America? What is going to be the dividing line? That's, are we going to have five? Is Russia going to be able to take over Europe?
Right.
Is China going to control all of Asia? Africa?
Right.
What's the world going to look like? Because I think, the next Trump has a meeting with Xi Jinping
coming up. Yes, he does.
Yeah, and if we in America, since we're talking on these phones and we're using our computers, and everything we say and do is recorded and the data is collected. So China knows that we have these concerns inside the people. Now, I'm not talking about our government, but they understand that the people have a concern about, do we have enough munitions to do this without having to put boots on the ground? We really don't want another ground war. We're not going to support that. So China knows all those things. And if China's documenting with satellite exactly how many munitions we're using, and if they know what our supply, because don't think that they're not Chinese spies inside our government.
Correct.
So, yeah. So if they know the stockpile of munitions, and we make ourselves so vulnerable, because guess what? A lot of what happened in Ukraine was done with U.S. equipment and U.S. munitions. So we're depleted on that front, and now we're, whizzing them like bottle rockets right now. So does China then have a bargaining chip? But Trump also has, I think, the biggest chip in the game,
which
control of the oil.
Yeah.
China got to have it.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that the other night with that Strait of Hormuz, or however you say it. They had that blocked off, and we put an end to that real quick. It's insanity. All the different things that you have to pay attention to keep up to date on it and stuff as well. And when we talk about, which we had before, if President Trump wasn't president, where would we be? That's kind of a terrifying thought, or who's going to be the next president. And we hope that it is obviously people that are going to keep America first and all that. But also, in tying into that, Congressman Annie Ogles of Tennessee actually introduced a resolution that basically comes after American presidential politics. It's a proposal that's aimed at amending the U.S. Constitution, and it's going to seek to extend the presidential term limit, opening the door for a third term for presidents, obviously including Donald Trump. So I think that is a weird timing as well. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, John.
Well, listen, we already have a history that says that's not a good idea. We had Franklin Roosevelt. What did he do? 4 terms?
Yeah.
And we went in and said, oh, no more. No more. Because think of everything that was done under Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And there were some men that thought World War II, and I've sat down and talked with a lot of those old veterans that said Roosevelt was a bigger communist than Stalin.
See, yeah, that would be a bad thing. Well, I don't know. I don't know that anybody would want that because obviously we can't trust everybody that we thought we could trust in the voting system, which, that kind of got quiet for a while now because, like I said, everybody's focused on Iran and obviously the reason to, but I just don't see what the future can be. It's hard to think about what it's going to be like when President Trump leaves. It's hard to even figure out what next year is going to be like. It just so many things, John, I guess, are just on such shaky ground. There's no sense of security, maybe transparency, which his administration talks about, but the transparency is not there. They're making mistakes left and right, and people aren't performing the way that we would hope that they performed. There's so many things that people need to be held accountable for. And when we look at the accountability here, really it's been zero. And you look at other countries and they're dropping like flies up and down over the Epstein files alone. And here it's just like crickets. And I just like, how much more do these people need information, cash and all them to just arrest people? I just don't understand it. And these other countries are having people stepping down and arresting and doing stuff and having action. We have everything on a silver platter and it's crickets, and I don't understand it.
Well, all I can tell you is that it's reshaping the thinking of Gen Z. The mamas and the daddies of that generation are really outraged that nothing's being done because guess what? They're computer savvy, they're computer literate, they maneuver around the internet with great speed. And a lot of these people that are doing the great research and compiling the information in the Epstein files are young people, young mamas and daddies, 20, 30 years old, that are freaking outraged that nothing's being done. But now here's the next thing. My biggest concern is Trump can finish his term, not finish it, I could care less. It's the 535 scumbags that are running the corporation that is bankrupting our butts that has done this. This was not done by a single president. This was manipulated and carried out with Republicans and Democrats, the entire swamp. But the swamp, if you want to drain D.C. of all the bureaucrats, Trump's done a good job of shucking a shitload of them. But it's our job to replace these representatives and senators. If it's a rhino Republican senator, you got to get that tail gone. A perfect example is John Cornyn in Texas. I'm going to vote. If I could vote in Texas, I'd be voting for Ken Paxton. I have shook the hand of that foul, corrupt bastard Cornyn in Washington, D.C., looking him eye to eye during the petroleum moratorium that Barack Obama put on. And all I can tell you is that's a cake eating, going to lunch. He didn't even have time to spend 30 minutes with a group of citizens from around the country down here on the Gulf Coast who are out of work. Jobs had been taken away by Obama. And this son of a bitch didn't have, because he had 3 lobbyists waiting to go to lunch.
See, well, the lobbyists
scheduled a lunch at 2:00 when we had your commitment to sit in here and talk to us for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. You don't have 30 minutes for the people that you represent. Screw him. I don't. He's a rhino Republican. Got to go. So we've got to shut those guys. We've got to shut any representative that's been up in Congress for more than 12 years, it's time to let them go. They got to have somebody running against them. If they don't have anybody running against them, you cannot, for the life of me, I pray that people have woke enough to where you won't vote for a single freaking Democrat. You can't stop this until you hammer these socialists. You got to hammer them in the head by showing them you're never going to get elected until you represent the people. We don't want your social agenda. We don't buy your spending out, because that's what they are. They're corrupt. They're foul. Evidence is presented. So the only way to prosecute them is to kick their tail out of office. And as bad as it hurts me, because I get hateful emails from the Republican committee because I stopped donating 2 years ago. I'm not giving them any more money. I'll support a candidate, and I won't even do that through any online or anything. I get an envelope out, and I make it out, and I mail it to them. But for me, when they call, I've gotten some of the ones that are coming now are just pure hateful. This is your final notice. You're going to be placed on the expatriate list.
Jeez.
Well, man, kiss my patriot ass.
Exactly. That is threatening. That is not, and that's why I say to people too, the best thing that you can do for yourself is don't believe what we say. Don't believe what you see on TV. Go to some of these meetings when you have a representative in the Republican Party and it's a little $10 fee and you have breakfast, or if it's free, go just meet them and see them and hear what they have to say, because seeing them in person will do you a world of good. You will get that vibe, you will see, and it's just going to help you, and you're going to have a feel of what the people around you feel as well. And I think that's one of the best things you can do. You don't have to donate all this money and do all this stuff and sign all the papers to volunteer for this and that. Just quietly go to a meeting and quietly leave. And I'm telling you, it is going to do something. I've been doing that here for the last couple years. And I'll tell you what, the stuff they say about the ones around here, Rassenberger, Kemp, and all them, whoo, doggy, they reek of all of that. You see them in person and shake their hand, that stuff, you need some holy water after you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the best things that you can do. You'll know. So it's just amazing.
That is the representative government.
Yes.
And right now they don't think, and really, Tammy, the truth is that you probably got 5% of the American population that really does stay active and involved with their representatives, even if it's through an email. Is very simple. A phone town hall, going to a town hall meetings. Now, I have chastised, and Brother Clay Higgins is a man of God. I respect him. Some money that he takes that I wish he wouldn't take. But the bottom line is he's a good representative, and he's always willing to step up and speak to his constituents. And he speaks from his heart. He's a good guy. So, but here's the thing. When he first ran, and he was a nobody, and he really had to fight. But then the Tea Party was still somewhat relevant in Louisiana, and we wanted our Congressman Bustani gone because we had caught him in lies. There was allegations of some sexual improprieties. So once that came to light, he had to go, and Clay was a sheriff, a deputy sheriff. And he was on TV, and he'd read the riot act to criminals. He'd come tell them, "I'm coming to get you," on TV. I mean, it was every day. But the one thing is that we were active, and we went and we spoke with and we vetted him so that, number one, he knew who we were, and they know who shows up, who emails me, and guess what? The staff, when you address legitimate questions to the staff, because 90% of what you're going to send, the staff gets it all first. You're not going to get your congressman. but you're going to get their staff. And the more you do it, the more frequently you do it, guess what? He'll become aware of it. And then if you're hitting on solid points and you let them know, look, I can support this, but I can't support that. If they don't know, how can they represent us? And if there's only 5% of the American population interacting with their representatives, you see what we get? We get 535, and I don't want to, I'm not, there's some of them that we can't throw in there, but for the total, let's say 500.
Yeah.
That are totally bought, paid for, and corrupted. And that's what we have to stop. Mitch McConnell, that son of a bitch can't even walk.
I know that. Yeah, he doesn't talk nothing. He doesn't do anything anymore. This is ridiculous. So that's the thing, that we need them out. I have to say too, there are some good ones. A little bit. Brian Jack here is great. He's one that he says, hold me accountable. And you know what? Basically, you have to hold your people accountable. You can't not be involved, or it's not going to go anywhere. They're just going to keep getting away with what they get away with. But I do feel running for the president of the United States is no easy task. And I'm going to say I commend President Trump, because look what him and his family have gone through all these years, John. I'll tell you what, it's nasty, nasty, nasty. And every single thing he says, every look that he has is scrutinized to the T. I don't think that there's anybody really that can put up with what he put up with for as long as he put up with, unless they loved this country, they loved our military, and they wanted the best for this country. He's not going to be perfect and make all the decisions that we want and the timing that we want. He had on, I think, the left side of his neck there, maybe this was even fake, but it was that rash, and he's got cream for it, and people were like, oh my gosh, he's dying, all this bad stuff. It's like the man can't, like he said, can't trip, can't stumble, can't look tired, can't have a little rash, can't have bruises on his hand from shaking people because he's going downhill. But we look at what Biden was able to get away with. It's just insanity. So I don't know. He's a tough bird. That's all there is to it. So that's about all I had for tonight, John. I appreciate it and stuff. And is there any kind of final thought that you want to offer everybody before we check on out of here this Thursday night?
Well, pay attention to the war. And for the love of God, I hate it, because I still go and I want to listen to Hegseth.
Yes.
I really trust the old general. But the bottom line is seek some outside sources. And I'll get you some people, Tammy, that I trust, I listen to, because they're not Americans, but they are legitimately wise men. And they're great outlets and resources for the geopolitical world that we live in. This is a worldwide event. We hope it doesn't break into World War III. So you have to keep your head on a swivel. Be mindful, because they're not doing enough, I think, to make Americans understand. When they start talking about these sleeper cells, that's a no bullshit deal.
It's real.
They're here. They're real. And you don't know, when is the next attack going to take place? Where is it going? We don't know. So be guarded about large crowds of people, I would say. And then also just be present of your surroundings. If you see something, report it, and don't worry about it. If it's nothing, that's fine. But, we have to be on guard, because we sure let a lot of these terrorists into this country. And we don't know where a lot of them are, because they were gotaways. They paid the extra $5,000 to get interior to the country without having to fill any paperwork out. So,
and that isn't just a few hundred, that's thousands. So, and this isn't fear mongering, it's the honest, hard truth. And, it's just letting people know, hey, when you do research, you look into things and you are paying attention, like watching, like today I watched all about Iran and the war and seeing what's going on. I mean, the Israel military suggested the southern area of Lebanon there, Beirut, that they need to evacuate. And the thing is, that's 500,000 people. That was no small task to evacuate that. And that's, civilian area. And they only had a few hours to do that. A lot of them didn't get out, and they started bombing like crazy. So you just never know, is my point. And remember, these are people just like you and I. And it is just disheartening when this kind of stuff happens. So yeah, keep your head on the swivel. There was what they thought was a terrorist attack the other day. I haven't heard much more about it, but
they're still going with that path, Tammy.
are they?
Yeah,
Are they?
They got into his house and did a deep dive. He had some issues mentally, but he still was a extremist Muslim.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I mean,
here they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you guys. God bless.
God
and
bless everybody.
yep. Thank you, John. And I'm just going to say what John, back what he said, keep your head on a swivel, just keep diligent, stay prayed up. Of course, you have to stay prayed up to stay grounded and keep your mind sane. So with that being said, you guys, thanks for tonight, and we will see you on the next one. Take care. God bless. Good night, everybody.
Good night.